Hey guys, I'm Mark.
I'm Alon.
And welcome to another episode of The Next Man Up. Well, here we are once again, listeners. This is Mark. It's good to be with you. And for those of you that listen to us regularly, you'll know that I'm starting a little bit different than we normally do. And it's really for two reasons. The first reason is I got a favor to ask of you. We're 30 plus episodes in, and I was hoping that you Apple device users and iTunes users could give us a rating out on iTunes. It doesn't take that long. Just go to the show page on iTunes and give us a rating if you would. Let us know how you think we are doing. And if you want, leave us a comment and review even, and tell the world about us. That would be fantastic. So thank you for those of you that are willing to help us out in that way. The second reason that we're starting off a little bit different today is my sidekick, Alon, is under the weather and could not be with us for this episode. But don't worry, you're not going to get just a Mark monologue today, because we've got a special guest in studio live with us in-house. And it is going to be a fantastic conversation. So let me give you just a little bit about our guest today. He just recently launched a book, like a couple of weeks ago, just launched a book. It's called Parenting Like a Boss. And I can't wait to kind of unpack the title and get to some of the inspiration there. In addition to being an author, he is a coach. He's a speaker, he's a trainer, and really he's got a heart to ignite, equip, and empower people to live with life. And he and I met not too long ago. We connected quickly and realized, we'd like to record some of this conversation here. So I am thrilled to have Kenston Henderson in the studio with us today. So for those of you listening, give a warm welcome to Kenston. Kenston, welcome to the Next Man Up podcast. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. When we connected a little while back at that networking event, and you started sharing your journey and the book that was coming up, it was like, wow, I've got to have a conversation with this guy and get to know him a little bit.
Yeah, it was just a dream connection. I say a divine connection. Because it was like you had the father thing going on, I had the parent thing going on, and it was just like, we're supposed to have this conversation.
So that conversation led to a lunch and got to know each other a little bit better. And I'm so grateful that you accepted invitation to capture some of your story here and let our listeners know what's on your heart and what you're all about.
Man, it's an honor to be here. So I appreciate you for inviting me on.
Yeah. Well, I always enjoy starting with like a get to know you segment. So I know you a little bit, and there's so much that I don't know. Our listeners probably don't know you at all. So give us just a flavor for who Kenston is, your background, a little bit of your story, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I'm the youngest of 7 children.
Big family.
So big family. You know, it was 9 of us in one house with one bathroom with a few rooms.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
And if I read your bio right on the website, you have 5 sisters, right?
5 sisters.
1 bathroom, 6 women in the house. That wasn't at all challenge to navigate, was it?
It wasn't that bad. Because everybody was so different ages groups.
Yeah.
And so my mom had it calculated on when people get to use the bathroom. So she was a general on the bathroom usage, and so we didn't have to have too many fights and arguments about it. So, but it was fun times growing up in that big of a household. Where we were very close.
Yeah.
Very close.
Yeah.
So.
And probably, well, you can tell me, but it probably fostered a lot of good connection and I would imagine investment into relationships that's still paying off today.
I would agree to some sort. Some of the siblings, you would rather not be that close to them, but but yes, my connection was definitely with my oldest sister, who the oldest of the group. She was more like the protector, and so I was always on her good side, and then
surrogate mom, right?
And then we had my brother, we were the last two of the five after the five sisters. And so we were always together, and so that made for the strongest relationships.
Yeah.
Growing up.
So big family.
Big family. Very. We were all involved in church. So my dad is a pastor, and my mom's a teacher, Sunday school teacher. And my dad's a teacher as well, and so really very structured, very firm in faith. Type of upbringing. So whenever they were at church, my parents were at church, we were at church.
Oh, yeah.
On the pew.
Yeah.
If we didn't like it, we were still on the pew.
On the pew. Oh, that's right.
They called us the pew babies or the pew family because we would take up a whole pew. But that's where we were. So everything was evolved around church.
Yeah.
Growing up. So just going off to college at Ohio State University, it just was continuing to shape my life because it was very strong values, spiritual values. But now being opening up into a whole nother world, I say, being on campus and just seeing how the different aspects of people and their growth and development process that's, continue to help shape me to me coming into myself of having this strong desire to teach, to equip, to empower people, just motivating people was just a natural thing for me to do. And so my major going through school was like technical education and training. I wasn't too technical, but I love teaching and training. And so that's where I went. I knew I didn't want to teach young people because I didn't think I had enough patience for young people.
Why would young people need patience?
Listen, and so I was saying I'm just going to study adult education and corporate training and development.
Okay.
And so that's the field that I really went into after college. And so the corporate environment, but I was more or less in the realm of HR. And so there's different facets in HR, but it wasn't working out for the first 14 years of my career because I wasn't in the area where I feel that I was called to be in, which was the training and the teaching and education part of HR. I was always in benefits or in a generalist type of role.
Yeah.
But every time I got to the chance to educate or to teach, it was like, this is where I need to be. This is where I need to be. This is where I need to get to. And it didn't happen till recently, and within the last 3 years, where I started my business, and it was all about teaching, training, inspiring, and motivating people to be their best. So, and that's how we got here, is because I started moving in purpose. So once I found my purpose, I was able to lock in, to hone in my skills, to just get better at what I do and what my abilities are, just to become a great person all around.
Yeah.
So from a spiritual to natural, and now I'm able to help other people navigate that part of life.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting. You and I have multiple connections. There's the coaching and the training connection, where we're trying to help bring the best out of people and reach their potential. We use the same language, same words, that type of thing. And then there's also this fatherhood, manhood, raising up children connection. It's interesting that it took you a while to really know it. And maybe, I don't know, you can answer this question. Did you know it all along and it just took you a while to lean into that? Or was it like this evolution process where it just clicked one day, like, oh, that's it? How did you get there?
I mean, and so, again, coming out of college, you just want to get a job. Your goal and focus is to get a job.
Graduate and get a job, yeah.
And I took my eyes off the prize. So I went to school for education and training development, but I took my eye off the prize because I just wanted to get a job. And I didn't care whether it was in training and development. But what happened was I got pigeonholed into all the other different parts of human resources. Yeah. And so I can never get back to how hard I tried. The doors wasn't opening for a specific training and development position. And so I had to continue to fight. I knew it was there. And, it wasn't for a conversation I had with a friend of mine who was like, Kenston, I'm sick of it. You need to be in some type of training and development. You need to be motivating people, inspiring people, because this is what you do. Mm-hmm. This is who you are.
Right. You come alive in that environment.
Exactly. And, funny enough, one of the trainings, because I did benefits education now, anybody who's ever been through a benefits orientation, where they're giving all the benefits information, you get glassy-eyed, you're about to fall asleep, you're about to, fall on the floor because it's so boring. Right? But they came into my benefits session and they said, how in the world did you make benefits sexy? I'm like, sexy? Benefits sexy? How did you make it so amusing? How did you make it so fun to learn? And I was like, I was hanging on to every word you were saying because you made benefits come alive. I was like, oh, I didn't know. And I said, but that was in me, because I can't stand a boring trainer, a boring lecturer,
right.
monotone. I can't do it. I can't stand it.
You're not alone.
So yeah, so I get it. It's that I love it. That's what my passion and desire is for. And so again, that being rooted in me and that person just saying, where you belong, that just pushed me to start my business.
Yeah.
And it said, if I can't find a job, if I can't get a job where I know where I'm supposed to be, create it. And that was one of those faith actions to create the opportunity.
Yeah.
So
we talk a lot in this context about taking a risk, taking a shot, doing something, and particularly in the context of parenting. Mm-hmm. But it's not unlike the shot that you just described, right? Like if I can't find it, I'm just going to go create it. I'm going to take a risk, go on this adventure, take this, what did you say, the faith action, and see where it goes.
Yeah. And I had to, because I was dying. You know what I mean? Dying to the sense of I'm not giving my all anymore at work. I'm not giving, I'm not at my best. I have no energy. I don't even want to put any energy into it. Yeah. Because I know where I'm supposed to be. I know who I am. Yeah. I know I'm supposed to be impacting lives on a greater scale. And so
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool that when you can get to that place, it's so huge. It's so powerful. Yeah. And so kudos to you for not only being willing to answer that question of, what is my purpose type of thing, but to begin to take steps to live it. That's the adventure.
You got to.
That's the adventure.
You got to, yeah.
So you talked a little bit about growing up in a faith family. Your dad's a pastor. I have the image of the Hendersons occupying a whole pew every Sunday morning, probably Sunday evening too, sometime throughout the week as well. One of the things that I always like to ask our guests is, what type of influence did your dad have on the man that you are today?
Yeah, so my dad had influence on so many levels. I consider him my superhero. The Incredible Hulk. He can do anything. Yeah. Listen, he can do anything. I didn't have to worry about anything. He was always there. Even with having 7 children. He managed to still show up to all of my, wrestling matches or basketball games. Wow. He was always in the stands. I remember just being on a wrestling mat and just look up in the stands and he right there. Yeah. And he was a school teacher, and he was a school teacher who was a minister who coached almost every sport because he was trying to bring in as much money for his family. Yeah. He coached almost every sport. They called him Coach Everything Henderson. Coach everything Henderson. And so to me, that showed me that he was all in as far as a parent. You know what I mean? He was not making any excuses. He was there. And so that helped shape me. We have at the house, there's 2 acres of land, and he was always, me and my brother, we were always, working on the land, doing different things. And he would be shoveling, and I would notice as a young child that I seen these veins coming out of his forearms. And so these forearms, for me, that represented like he's a muscle man.
Right, like Popeye.
Right.
He's like
Popeye, right? You know what I mean? So I said, I want to get some veins in my arms, something little minute of that. But
yeah, I want to be like Dad.
I want to be like Dad. And so I would, be working hard in the yard. I would be doing extra push-ups so I can see these veins in my arms. And now I got so many. So the doctors, they love that when you come in and try to give blood.
Oh, yeah.
So,
take your pick, Doc.
Take your pick. But he was just, that hard work ethic was everything to me. And it has, transferred into my work ethic, and me instilling that into my son as well. That's what I want. That he was family first. And so in a lot of, I grew up around a lot of faith people and preachers and pastors, and family wasn't first.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it got lost at in their scheme of things, but my father was family first and did ministry. And I think that was so crucial in our upbringing. So
yeah, I've seen the same thing play out in different pastors' lives where it's as if the God work does not extend to the family. Or does not begin with the family. It's everybody else. And so that's why there's so many pastor kids running around that they're just messed up because Dad wasn't there.
Yep.
So there's so much in what you said that's cool, right? Like the boy on the field or the court or the mat, whatever, it just looks up and they're looking for Dad.
Yeah.
And you had the dad that you knew would always be there. Or if for some reason he couldn't be there, you knew that he would be there the next time.
Exactly.
Or that he was there the last time, right? Like he was there. And even though you knew he was there, you were still looking for him.
Yep.
Right? It's like, I want to know that my dad is here.
Yeah. And it's crazy because now, sometimes when my son does play basketball and I coach his team, it's the same thing that happens that when he goes to shoot a shot, when he goes up for a layup, when he does something, and whether it's a miss or a make, or he falls on the ground, he's looking up at me to see
not
what
the coach,
he's
not his
looking at
players.
nobody.
He's looking for Dad.
He's looking for Dad. And I said, and that's special. You know what I mean? Because I see the other young boys out there. When they look, there's no one there. And I see the impact that has that person's not there.
Yeah.
It's like I wish that they were there.
Right.
But
dads are so influential and impactful, whether they're present and engaged or they're not. I know you and I agree on this wholeheartedly. They're so influential, whether they realize it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
It's the truth of the matter, whether you're there or not, they're still influencing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So you now have a son, and so take us kind of through that journey. And
so I mean, I had the best son in the world.
You named him after you, right?
Listen,
he's a junior.
He has my name. I put the middle name. That's the Henderson Edward on there. But from the day he was born, just like I feel really superly blessed that God gave him to me. That, so much so I was obsessed, and I can tell this to everyone who's listening. I was obsessed, to the point where once we brought him home from the hospital, I would be in his room at nighttime almost every night, just looking at him
just
as he
watching him sleep.
Yeah.
I don't think that's unique. I think that's pretty common.
Yeah. Just watching him sleep, watching him move his motions, but just saying a prayer over him, just singing to him, just every night, I was like, wow, this is man, you granted me this gift? Like, this is amazing. And so I don't know how long that went on, but it probably was till he was able to to wake up and say, Dad, what you doing in my room?
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's so much so I find myself still doing that to this day, actually. You know, he's 11 years old, but I still find myself in his room watching him and just, you know, saying a prayer, speaking life over his life. So that way, that's my son.
Yeah.
That's my gift, and I got to cultivate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the other questions that I like to ask, because we spend a lot of time helping fathers to recapture this idea of rite of passage, which may be something you're familiar with or not. It doesn't much matter. But the question is this: was there a point at which you understood that you've become a man, or that you had to shift your thinking from I'm no longer a boy, or I can no longer be a boy. I need to become a man. Kind of take us through that, if you would.
So, funny enough, I had to go back to high school a little bit when having a conversation with my father, and it was it was almost around the birds and the bees type of conversations, but it was more or less about, you know, so it was 12th grade going into college, and my dad was just saying, like, you know, you may come up against some things in college that, you know, some experiences, and you just want to make sure that if you do slip up and become a father while you're in college, you're going to take care of that child, but you're going to take care of the woman, whoever the child, who's ever having the child. And so from there, it was almost like he was like passing a mantle of manhood for if I make a decision and, you know, a baby happens, that I handle it, you know, that I be there. It's always had that stuck in my mind that whenever I become a father, I'm going to, you know, step up to the plate. I'm going to handle, per se, my business, because that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And so, thankfully, no babies through college. But you know, once I became a father, it was like, it's showtime. Yeah. Like, this is it. This is that moment.
That's right.
And I'm ready to go. I'm ready to be all I can be as a father.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting that you recognize that back then. Like this conversation that I'm having with Dad isn't just a normal conversation, like get good grades and don't stay out too late, blah, blah, blah. It was like there was some significance that was transferring from him to you, and you felt it.
Yeah. And I think it just paved the way to just keep me ready. And again, you know, always telling my son the decisions you make has great impacts. It just depends on what the decision is. But I already knew if that was the choice I was going to make, that I needed to be ready.
Yeah.
I was going to be ready.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. So you got this great launch from Dad.
Yeah.
And you make it out into the world after 10, 12 years of finding your way. You're now in the lane, and you know the lane that you want to run in. And I know this, that you're moving more and more in that direction. Yeah. So all of a sudden you have this idea to write a book, right? You've got this parenting like a boss book idea. So take us through how that came to be and the journey there.
So that book came about. I was at a church, and they wanted me to do a small group. They wanted me to lead a small group, and they knew that I was a part of, you know, John Maxwell leadership team. And so they said, you know, Kenston, we really would love for you to do the John Maxwell, but enough people have already signed up to do some type of leadership. And so let's talk through what else could you possibly do. And so they's like, well, you are a parent. And I was like, yeah, I am. He's like, well, what about parent leadership? And so that started getting my wheels turning. And I said, okay, I can do that. Yep, especially since I'm starting to work more with young people, and I'm seeing the influence that parents have, whether good or bad.
Right.
They're having some type of influence. And I said, well, let's go for it. Let's do it. And they was like, so what are you gonna call it? And they said, because Kenston, you're a cool dad. Like you communicate well with your son, but you also communicate well with the young people too. So, and so the name Parenting Like a Boss came up, as one of the names. I said, yeah, that's pretty nice.
Feeling it.
That's pretty catchy. Let's go for it.
Well, I hope you're enjoying this conversation that I got to have with Kenston. I know I sure did, and I'm excited to bring the rest of it to you in our next episode. But we're gonna cut this one here. But before I let you go, just another quick reminder: if you are so inclined and you are an iTunes user, would you just give us a rating out there and maybe even a review? Let us know how we're doing, how you appreciate the content, the message, this podcast, and what we're trying to be about. We would very much appreciate that. And as always, if you want to get us directly with suggestions, comments, questions even, feel free to hit us up at feedback@thenextmanup.com. That's feedback@thenextmanup.com. Shoot us an email. We would love to hear from you. Okay, until next time, adios. Hey listeners, thanks for journeying with us on this Next Man Up podcast. We would love to hear from you. Maybe you have a question or an idea, perhaps a topic for us to consider. If that's you and you want to reach out to us, you can get us at feedback@thenextmanup.com. That's feedback@thenextmanup.com. Again, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, we'll see you later.